the Iraqi Cultural Office. Next to him is Andre Dunham Maciel, who is the first secretary and the head of the education section of the Embassy of Brazil. And finally, we have Dr. Haryo Winarsa, the attaché for national education from the Republic of Indonesia's embassy here in Washington. So in order to make the best use of our limited time, we are going to conduct this session in an interview mode. I am going to be the interviewer, and I'm going to ask very specific questions to each one of the panelists. They will answer in turn, then we go on to the next question. We hope that this is going to be fairly brief so that there's going to be time for everyone in the audience who wishes to make a comment or ask a question to do so. However, the specific questions about specific scholarship programs, please take those upstairs to the pavilion where you'll get more answers. So with that, I'd like to start with the first question, which is, why is education in the United States important to Iraq? Dr. Hadi.
Thank you, Anne. I'm really impressed with your pronunciation of our difficult name. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege and honor to share in this important education event, Education USA Forum 2012, which gives all, among other things, the opportunity of listening to and meeting with U.S. higher education leaders and representatives at the conference and at the Global Showcase. Allow me to express, on behalf of the Iraqi Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research and the Cultural Office here in Washington, D.C., our thanks and appreciation for giving Iraq this unique opportunity to share and to present our scholarship program. Thanks to Education USA staff, Department of State, all organizations, institutions, and individuals contributed to the conference. I'm honored to join my two colleagues, Mr. Andre Marcel and Haryo Winarsa from Indonesia and Brazil, and of course our dear Anne Schneller, true education and coordination leader. Thanks to each and every one of you for your time and your sharing with us this occasion. Why education in the United States is important to Iraq? Because we know that education is a power, education is a commodity, and we need to invest in our future. Iraq was disconnected for many decades from the outside world, and we'd like now to join and rejoin the 21st century. And we know that the American universities are top in technology and science, and they are known for their excellence, their diversity, for their range of opportunities, modern facilities, and top quality teachers. And we know that to prepare our new leaders, we know for sure that people with American graduate degrees hold many of the most influential and lucrative positions of government and non-profit agencies, private enterprises all over the world. So we'd like to join this club of leaders in education and science and be really with them in the near future, we hope.
What particular aspects of U.S. education are valuable for each of your governments? Dr. Hadi?
The current focus of our program is in fact on science and technology and applied science, engineering, biological sciences, petroleum sciences. But of course in the future programs which are coming soon, it will be more expanded and it will include in fact all walks of science and humanities. And currently our program, the ongoing one now, where we have many students in about 40 universities, and the coming program for this year mainly for science and technology. But in the coming programs we will have more than that, as I said. And now the PhD and masters, but in the future we'll have PhD, masters, vocational certificates, and also educational training programs as well. So our program is expanding, starting now at higher degree, graduate level, and then we'll go to undergraduate, to vocational, to certificate, and to the very wide range of specialties. And we need our guys to come here, our students to come here and learn as well from the culture, from the English language and its environment, rather than going somewhere else. where they don't really speak the common language of the world. Thank you.
Do you feel that the U.S. campuses have been responsive to your country's students' needs? And if not, what kinds of issues came up that you would like to discuss? First to you, Dr. Hadi.
Well, surely they are very much cooperating with us. It's a win-win situation for both parties. We have some individual problems which are solved jointly between the university staff and ourselves. The main problem is the application, in fact, because our students are not very much up to the standard of writing the application online just now. Also, the difficulty of the connectivity. In fact, in the past it was very easy because the communication was much better. In the late 40s, we had many scholarship students here. About 40 of them, they were at Berkeley, and that continued for many years until the last 3-4 decades where the students were completely cut off from the outside. So they are not very much experienced in applying with the difficulty in connectivity, as I said. So we need some help in that, and we would like the university to be creative sometimes in recruiting Iraqi students who are there to help other students who are coming, prospective students. And the families of the students need to be supported. We'll come to this point later on. And we need good cooperation between the universities and our office directly.
Not, what can we do to help?
Well, the first 6 months are difficult because there is the cultural shock and the educational shock. I'm sure many of our friends at the universities, they have noticed this. The curriculum is different. Our curriculum is usually teacher-based, and the curriculum here is basically student-based. So the concept of teaching methodology is a little bit different. They need to really to acclimatize to this. And the students, when they come here, they have the picture of the movies of the American life. So they will be viewing it differently. So they face the reality as students and the needs of every day they have to fulfill. I think students, they need orientation at 3 stages. They need orientation in Iraq, and that's our responsibility. They need orientation here at our office, again our responsibility, and they need orientation at the campus as well, to just integrate them. And getting an American student to mentor or to be a friend or colleague or coming all the time, going all the time with an Iraqi students, that's not a bad idea. It will help the student and give him confidence or give her confidence in what they are doing. So mentoring is something I think needs to be considered. Many of our students, they have faced major difficulties at first, 6 months and 1 year, but then later on they distinguished themselves. And many of them, they got patencies, they were published in many distinguished journals, and they got awards. And we have 3 students who got their PhD, and then they were awarded by their universities a master's degree as a good gesture from the university for their performance. The other problem is the families for the students. I think many of the spouses of the students, they are educated, they are smart, and they need to be literally utilized by the university and helped by the university. They can volunteer, they can be admitted to different courses, short courses, they can help, and in that way they can integrate and give better life for the student, because they will integrate in the society and they know people, the networking, so that will help students and the university too. Personal relationship with Iraqis or the students, I think that may help socially, but
as you seek to send more students from your countries to the United States?
The first thing and the most important is that at this stage in Iraq, the problem with TOEFL and the GRE. Many of our students, they haven't got the TOEFL at this stage, but the future programs, I think, and we hope, are working on that each student will come with the required TOEFL degree. So we would like the universities to help in some sort of conditional acceptance, like our program, current program now, where we have, in fact, all our students were accepted conditionally. And many of them, they did well, just those who did not pass the English language, 3 of them, they went back home. But the rest, they were doing fine, and about 20 of them now, they've got their degrees and went back home, and we're very proud of that. The other thing is there is a gap between the English language program and the academic program. By law, we are allowed only 1 month to have between the finishing the English program and starting the academic. So if that will be more than that month, we would like the university to give the student a credit of 1 or 2 credits just to keep the books right. And we call this academic study rather than English study per se. So if we can give the student before the time of the academic due date for the PhD program or master's program, for this gap to be filled with some credit hours, that will make life easier officially. We have some difficulties. I'm sure many of you know this and have them in their minds to ask about this regulation of the 3 years limit for the PhD program with our students, because this is the law in 1971, it was fixed and it has to be changed by law. But now it has been modified, and the minister is very much supportive of giving the time for the PhD and the masters as the university requires. And we are working on that. The other problem is when do we consider that the student has graduated? This is another official problem for us, difficult problem to solve. Would it be when the student finishes his or her defense of the thesis and then got accepted the thesis, or the ceremony where the president of the university will give the students the power of using that certificate? So that is an issue for us, because each student has 2 months to stay after graduation with full pay for the student to finish what's required before they go home. So we face sometimes this difficulty as when the graduation is called graduation. We faced occasionally that after the comprehensive exam the student went through, the supervisor says, well, I'm sorry, I don't have the facilities for your project to proceed. And we faced a really difficult problem, and then we have to find another university for the student, maybe another supervisor. So this happens as a surprise to us and difficult to handle sometimes. So these are the main challenges which we face. Thank you. So we faced occasionally that after the comprehensive exam the student went through, the supervisor says, well, I'm sorry, I don't have the facilities for your project to proceed. And we faced a really difficult problem, and then we have to find another university for the student, maybe another supervisor. So this happens as a surprise to us and difficult to handle sometimes. So these are the main challenges which we face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, for Brazil, I will answer this question considering.
And what can we do as U.S. institutions to help you and the students from your individual countries, Dr. Hadi?
Well, first, for our program, I think we need the university to be a bit flexible with placement, at least at this stage. For this program, where our students are currently finishing, the quota for the scholarship, about 1,200 students were sent outside Iraq in 2007. The quota for the US was 30% of students to come over here. We tried very hard to get it 50%, and it will go somewhere else. Because they are ready to go, the scholarship program is there, the money is there, so if they don't get placed in the US, they will go somewhere else, in Australia, in UK, in Europe, wherever. So we'd like the university really to be helpful and more flexible, at least, as I said, for this stage, and then later on it will be as rigid as it should be. And we would like to have life easier for the application to design a simple, like preliminary or basic form, which will be a process in the proper application. It will have the basic requirements of the university from the students, and then we build on that the proper application for each university. So we'll have a common form, preliminary form, where the students in Iraq can fill out that form, and then all the required information, basic information put in that form, and then eventually they will have a database for that form, and then the university can communicate with the student and then get the application done properly as they wish. One of the other things is, I think the faculty needs to be exposed to the international culture, needs to know how to deal with international students. Some simple orientation course maybe will be helpful for people in the Middle East, for people from Southeast Asia. It will get the friendship between the advisor and the students more productive in the way of performing their work. At our office, our aim really basically is to help students in whatever way possible to communicate with the university, try to solve any problem may arise in the process or in the time for the study and even after. So the message I want from this session, from this part in fact, is we need to be flexible as American universities, and we need to approve this preliminary form, which will be unified and have database and will be step for the application. Thank you.
And what lessons have you all learned? This is going to try to wrap it up so we can then open the floor for questions and comments. So, Dr. Hadi, what lessons have you learned?
I think the first lesson is to finish with the conditional acceptance course. Just get the students ready here to start like any other student without difficulty in GRE or English language or something. We would like to prepare our students before they come here, not only for orientation, social, and the life in the US, but like to prepare them with some courses in mathematics and statistics, to be good in typing with using the keyboard with 10 fingers to make them not wasting time. And cooperation with the alumni, I think, would be helpful. Those students, at least we have now 20, and they went back or becoming 20 this week. These can be helpful as well to communicate with their universities, to help the students who would like to come to that university. And we would like to, as my friend was saying, that we'd like to have the community colleges with the students come to community colleges here to learn the infrastructure, education which we need in Iraq, and we'd like to have the terminal masters as well as program. And also we'd like to have the 2+2 or 1+2+1 program, where our students will have 2 years in Iraq and then 2 years here, or vice versa, or maybe 1 year in Iraq, 2 years here, and 1 year again in Iraq, or vice versa. So in that way, we'll cut the cost, and then we'll get the students upgraded in their education. Also, would like the universities to have offices there and representatives at the Iraqi universities to really communicate with them and to be their focus of communication with the faculty, with the staff, and with the students.
I would like to thank our three panelists for giving us such a wealth of information and, more important, insights into their programs, and then open it up to any comments or questions from members of the audience.
Thank you. It was a very interesting session. I have a question for all three of you. Are there currently any US students in your countries, and what are the benefits to these students going to study in your three countries?
Currently, we don't have any, to my knowledge, any American students. Would like to have the exchange programs. Iraqi students come here and US students go there. But currently, I don't think we have at this moment.
In terms of building diplomatic relationships or new relationships with between the Iraqi people and the US, are there specific programs that the students from Iraq participate in that just focus on diplomatic relationships, not just the academics?
I think there are many programs run by the Department of State, and you would be the right person to answer. There are many programs now, and I think they are increasing, and mostly in the summertime, have hundreds of students come over here to meet with their counterparts, with their students, and to go to different courses. It's very, very useful and very helpful, and will really eye-opener and educational for all our students at different levels, at high school level and also at university level.
Hello, my name is Lukman Arsalan, and I'm originally from Jordan. I moved to the States 5 years ago, and I just wanted to share also that I agree with you. I actually came on a State Department-funded program in 2004 called Middle East Partnership Initiative, and currently there are about 50 students very close to us that Georgetown is also doing orientation programs for them, who are coming on the same program where they come in to the United States and do programs, study of the United States in leadership, and so it's a very effective program.
Thank you very much. This is actually that was a nice segue. I have a question about your government views on perhaps something you don't want to talk about so much, but the students who come to the U.S. and then stay here, or go back home and then come back. Certainly we all support the back and forth, but to what degree do your governments really encourage your students to come back home, other than the visa requirements? What are your views on that?
Well, the aim of scholarship is for them to come back home. But some of them would like to stay here. They're tempted by the science here, the research projects. They would like to continue their research projects. And they are bound by the visa, I think, the J1 visa, they have to go back. But we would like them to go back, in fact. Even those who came here for master's degree, they have to go back. But now when the minister was here, we tried to convince him. I think he approved provisionally that they can proceed for the PhD if the conditions would be suitable at the department. But by law, they have to go back, stay for 2 years, and then apply again to come for PhD.
Well, if there are no other questions, I would like to ask all of you to join me in thanking our three panelists. To invite all of you to continue the conversation, not only with these three, but with many other representatives who